shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like life, I'll rise.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war. The bright daybreak of...
Welcome to the stage, the host of the Black NewsBeat, Dr. Kimeka Campbell.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the Black NewsBeat. We are back. We are live with another episode, and we are so glad you are here. We always have so much to talk about. At the top of the hour, I want to do this very quickly. We had a very sad thing happen in our community this past weekend. Just join me, please, in sending our love and thoughts to the family of Kelly M. Porter Little, member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. May she rest in peace. She passed away very unfortunately this past few week. She's a wonderful community supporter. She supported my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and all of the D9. And I just want to give my love and my all the goodness and healing to her family, her sorority sisters, and the wider community for this tragic loss. Please look out in Penn Live. There will be a tribute to her and her life and the amazing things that she's done in our region. So I just want to take a moment of silence to say that. Rest in peace to Kelly and much love to her family. Okay. So we are back at the Black NewsBeat. It's been a couple weeks. I haven't seen y'all in 3 weeks. Did you miss me? So I hope you missed me. So it's been quite the week. It's been quite the few weeks. We have so much to talk about, but do y'all know what's coming up next Tuesday?
No.
We are about to be voting. It is the Pennsylvania primary. It's usually one of the latest ones in the country. We're coming up on the end of primary season, and Pennsylvania is usually signaling the end of that. We've had primaries going all season long, all since the beginning of the year. So we want you to get ready to vote. And we are also tonight at the end of our Black NewsBeat candidate series. So we've had several. I think we've had 10 candidates overall on the show. We have 3 more tonight. Shout out to Nate Davison, who couldn't make it tonight. He's not feeling well, but we'll see you on that trail. We'll see you on the trail. And we'll be talking to the other candidates tonight. So before we get started, we also want to say welcome to National Poetry Month. Yeah. And it is also Black Women's History Month. Ooh, yes. And we are celebrating our faves, past, present, and future. It's a special month because we get to celebrate not just Black women's history, but Black women in poetry who have been foundational to the understandings of modern poetry and how we understand it today. So I want to shout out a few of my personal faves, and I want you to think about your personal faves as well. Elizabeth Alexander, she is a renowned poet. In one of her later works in 2009, she wrote a poem for President Barack Obama, newly elected president. She wrote that poem in 2009 and performed it at his inauguration, one of only 4 poets to do so. She's also currently the president, did y'all know this? I didn't before I looked it up, of the Mellon Foundation. Yes, that is a big Black Girl Power for sure. The nation's largest funder in the arts, culture, and humanities. That's the Mellon Foundation. She's the president. Another favorite of mine, poet, Nikki Giovanni. She remains one of the best poets emerging from the 1960 Black Power and Black Arts movement. And another favorite of mine, Gwendolyn Brooks. She was the first Black poet to win a Pulitzer Prize. Yes. And she wrote a poem called We Real Cool, and Bell Hooks took that poem and turned it into a book on masculinity, Black masculinity in the country, which has been really interesting. So I want to read that really quickly. So that poem is very short. It's called We Real Cool by Gwendolyn Brooks. The pool players, 7 at the Golden Shovel. We real cool, we left school, we lurk late, we strike straight, we sing sin, we Sinjin, we Jazz June, we die soon. And from that poem, Gwendolyn Brooks, Bell Hooks took that poem and wrote the book, We Real Cool, which expands on Black malehood and masculinity in the United States. If you are looking for something to read during National Poetry Month and Black Women's History Month, I definitely suggest that book, We Real Cool. All right. So we have a wonderful guest tonight. As I said, one of our guests, Nate, is sick. But let's welcome, when you hear the name, shout for them. We'll have interviews with them. Let's welcome Mr. Blake Lynch, running for PA10. Yes. Let's also welcome Jesse Manoski, running for the PA 103rd. Very nice. And last, but definitely not least, let's welcome Tina Nixon, who's running for the PA 103rd. But before we get to our esteemed guests, we have a couple of things that we want to cover. So let's sweep these streets and see what's going on in these election streets and see what's happening. Top of the sweeping the streets, I always want to say shout out to our writers, Paul Hood, Marquise Lupton, and Maria James Chow. Thank you for writing our episodes. You'll see their name in the credits. First story, in our local race, the PA10, in our local but U.S. House race, the PA10 gains traction with 6 Democrats running for the 10th. Wow. We also have the incumbent for PA10, Scott Perry, also running, but he is in the Republican primary. The seat, currently owned by Republican Scott Perry, since 2013, after a strong win, now has formidable challengers. The list of candidates, some of whom have graced the stage right here at the Black News Beat, at Open Stage. Shout out to Open Stage for hosting us tonight. We're in the cabaret. Those folks include Shemaine Daniels, John Broadhurst, Rick Copeland, Janelle Stelson, Blake Lynch, and Mike O'Brien. And you've seen some of those folks on the show. So thank you guys for coming by. And we have a couple more tonight. Now, if you follow our social media pages, you're definitely up to date on the ins and outs and controversies surrounding this pivotal race. Each candidate has their strengths and weaknesses, and we will need to prove to voters that they can indeed make a difference. For more information on each candidate, check out their recent debate that aired on ABC 27. Both the PA 103rd and the PA 10 had those debates. We also, right here at Open Stage, had a PA 103rd debate on Sunday, and it went pretty well, I would say. And we're going to ask the candidates about those tonight, so stay tuned for that. In other election news, dun dun dun, because it is the Wednesday before primaries, okay? So as you know, if you haven't, who's voting by mail, by the way? Nice. Who's voting in person? Yes, love it. So we have a mixture here in the audience. If you're voting by mail in Pennsylvania or you're voting in person, Tuesday, April 23rd is your day. Return those ballots by 8 p.m. and make sure you get to the polls between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. You'll hear me say that a couple times tonight. So, are we waiting for the ghost of Rod Sterling to appear and explain to us the bizarre event that is taking shape for November 2024? Seems like we are reliving 2020, with the exception of the scores that was COVID-19. American politics are headed in a direction that may cause some head scratching. According to the New York Times poll, voters are split almost straight down the middle, with Trump edging Biden with 46% of the vote and Biden at 45% of the vote. Did y'all know that? Okay, go ahead and let out those stifle groans. It's okay. It's a safe space. All right. So how is it that a former president, one that was that incited insurrection, right, and currently embattled in a hush money case and trying to upend the vote in Georgia and a whole bunch of other things, tax fraud in New York, you name it, it appears that Biden still needs to step up his game in the face of all that. Ooh, that's going to be something. And he needs to improve his ratings, as some voters feel our country is headed in the wrong direction, even with this president, even with the pass of the old president. In fact, approximately 64% of registered voters think this, as Biden's approval ratings have maintained a negative slide, hovering around 60%, and a positive rating of 40%.
Inaccurate.
Yikes. Don't believe it? Who else believes those ratings? They're kind of scary. I mean, we don't want to believe them, but do we believe them? There's a lot going on in the country right now. A lot going around the world right now, exactly, that are also affecting these elections. So yes. So as Trump continues his oxymoronic quest for a return to America's highest office, Biden must regain the trust of the American voters. Wow, it's a pickle that we find ourselves in. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Casey strives to continue, right? Senator Bob Casey is running for re-election. Yes, the 64-year-old Democrat is still on a quest to eat the rich. Since being elected in 2006, Casey's platform to help Pennsylvania families sustain financial independence has never waned. In a quote from Casey's website, he states, "All public service is a trust given in faith and accepted in honor." Very noble. And this remains something Casey has stayed true to during his career in politics. Will Bob Casey continue to keep the federal government accountable and focus on the needs of Pennsylvanians? We shall see, because the talk of the town says that his seat is very vulnerable as the GOP tries to make a heavy play for the Senate. What do y'all think? Who y'all rooting for? Let's see.
My mail-in ballot was for Republican.
A Republican for mail-in ballot. Okay.
Vote for Republicans.
Oh no. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You know, next time we'll get that together. Now, just so we make it clear, we're all nonprofits here, so we can't be for or against any candidates as organizations, but we can talk about all of the candidates that are available. Okay. Who here has a plan to vote? Good. Who here is making sure family members and friends, make sure you take those folks to the polls.
Friends that vote together.
That's right. Stay friends for a little longer time, I would hope. And even though, you know, even if your friends, you don't think your friends are voting for who you want them to vote for, still encourage your friends to vote. It's okay. It's all right. We have to make sure that people get to the polls. We have to make sure of that. So we're going to actually skip over, usually I do media and melanin, but we're going to skip over that because we got candidates to get to tonight. So we're going to go straight to our section. There's nothing to do in Harrisburg, also known as upcoming events, because people are always talking about there's nothing to do in Harrisburg. First of all, YPOC Happy Hour is coming up next Thursday, and that day also happens to be my birthday. Yes. So next Wednesday, we actually have 2 back-to-back shows. That's my birthday show. I'm not going to tell you how old I'm going to be, but let's just say it's a little over 21. Not much, just a couple. So our happy hour is the last Thursday of every month. Just happens to be my birthday month. Check our website for more information. They're going to be putting up that surprise location soon. Our Juneteenth retreat is also going to be coming. Juneteenth is coming up also. Our retreat is coming up. As you see, I have on my 2022 shirt. It's vintage now, okay? But we'll have new merch upcoming soon. We have announced all of our events. Like I said last time, we know how much everything costs and where it's going to be. All the other details, they're going to be a surprise, okay? But we have our concert coming up. We've secured all our artists. That artist shop is coming soon. We want to invite you on April 30th to come to the HU Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship from 5 to 7 p.m. We will be having a community and sponsor connect where we unveil all of our artists and have a couple, hors d'oeuvres and some happy hour things happening for you. So come to the CIE on the 30th from 5 to 7 so you can be amazed. And also so we can thank our sponsors for getting us so far along the road. There are only 62 days left, y'all, till we get to Juneteenth HBG. Wow. I'm very excited. Yes, it's coming up. I'm very excited about that. Tell your friends. So our goal this year, we want to top what we've done before, right? So we had about 3,500 people participate throughout the week. We want to get to 4,000. So invite your friends. You gonna invite your friends? Yeah. Invite the folks at work? Yeah, everybody. Invite everyone, please. I would love for you to do that. The next, our retreat, our YPOC retreat, after we've gone through everything we've gone through to get to Juneteenth, we also have a retreat at the beginning of August. It is a nice, relaxing time. It's $100 to reserve a spot. So it is for the weekend. We have a beautiful time. We go to a Black-owned bed and breakfast, Aquaba Inn in Bethany, PA at Noble Lane. Please come and join us. It is a wonderful time. It is very, very nice. And I always get excited when I get there. I'm like, oh, I'm back at my favorite place. I'm talking massages and the best breakfast. And we have trap yoga and we do sip and paints on the lawn. We have a good time. It's a very good time. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is we have a big event coming up at Midtown Cinema on Sunday. All of our elected officials are invited. It is our We Fight Back, Get Out the Vote event. We want our communities to come out and vote. Please join us on Sunday at Midtown Cinema between 4 and 7. We'll have food and music, and we'll have different elected officials. All of our elected officials are welcome. All of our candidates are welcome. It's the last hurrah before we get out that vote. We'll be starting a canvas from Midtown Cinema to start reminding the community, hey, get your, not just voter registration, not just voter education, but now it's time for voter activation. That is what Get Out the Vote is all about. So GOTV weekend is fast approaching. It actually begins tomorrow. And we go through election day. That's usually a long GOTV weekend. So please, let's get out that vote. Join us on Sunday. Come, get a soda, get a hot dog. Come talk about voting. Get excited. I really want this to be a great event to invite everyone you know. All are welcome. Everyone on every side of the aisle is welcome to come and hang out on Sunday. And we'll be at where? Midtown Cinema. Yes, absolutely. And just the other thing that I want to tell you is I think we're wrapping up debate season. And if you haven't caught the different debates, it's a great weekend to do it. Okay, if you don't know, who knows something about each of the candidates? You know something about the PA 103rd, if that's where you live, good. PA 10, if that's where you live. You know something about your senator, Bob Casey, that's currently and the challenger. And you know something about the presidential candidates, both Trump and Biden. So that, everything, I want you to make sure you know about those. And there's also some questions about delegates. There's also other questions on your ballot. So make sure you vote both sides. Okay, some people are like, vote the front, I'm done. You're not. There are two sides to your ballot. Make sure you vote every single seat that's there, okay? All the way down, okay? Even some people say, well, I don't know. So I don't want to vote for anyone. That's why I want you to take the time. Black NewsBeat has had candidates on. We've got one-on-ones. So has Catch. So has ABC 27, WGAL, WITF. So many people have been putting in work overtime to make sure that you are informed. So go and watch that stuff, make your decision, and get to the polls or return that ballot on Tuesday, okay? The next thing that's coming up, we have some Open Stage. We're here at Open Stage. We're so thankful to Open Stage for hosting us. It's been a wonderful season here as well. If you don't know, we're in season 4 of the Black NewsBeat. We started in February and we end in December, January time. And so we're so thankful to be back here again. So Open Stage also has some events coming up. That's right. So EFF Live, if you have not been to Erotic Fan Fiction Live, it is hilarious. Okay, we have another episode coming up on April 26th. I should be there along with a couple of the friends from Open Stage. And we read, yes, you heard that right, erotic fan fiction, F Live. On May 11th to June 1st, we have in the Studio Theater, which is right behind us, we are going to have theater, evening, and matinee performance of What the Constitution Means to Me. It is a wonderful performance. They usually have this one year after year. Please come out and see that performance. It's going to be wonderful. And the actor who stars in it does an excellent, excellent job. Okay, so that's what's coming up. We also have a really awesome event by Handles and Sampson Entertainment coming up on the 20th at XL Live. It's a salute to the DJs. And we have a wonderful special guest female DJ coming, a national DJ. I'll say that surprise for you. You can look it up online. And we also have one of our favorite DJs and DJ of the show, DJ Lay Rowe, will be opening up this weekend. So we're so excited about that. Shout out to DJ Lay Rowe. She's our show DJ, our CJ. She's also our CJ for Juneteenth. So we're always happy to have her there. All right. Well, we got through the first segment. And we shall be right back with our first guest. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Yeah.
Say, look at all of you. But look at all of you. Everything is looking amazing. I just want to say, shout out to all of you, the community that helped make this night a success and the whole week a success. I love y'all so much.
Clap it up for yourselves one more time. Y'all look amazing out here.
Yeah, y'all look amazing.
Yes.
And the other thing that I want to say is shout out to our sponsors and VIP. I want you guys to remember this feeling. I want you guys to remember how wonderful it feels to celebrate Juneteenth in Harrisburg. We always want to have this, and it's possible because of all of you.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
possible because of all of you. So thank you. Enjoy the night. Join my POC. All y'all enjoy my POC. Join us. We're going to do more amazing things like this for Harrisburg, for the region, and for the whole state.
Oh my goodness. So we have had some extra folks come in. So hi friends, hi everybody. All right. I was like, oh, they don't like me, they're not coming. It's fine. But they showed up. Thanks. Hi, Brandon. I saw Elise was here. I saw, let's see. Oh, I have new friends. Hi, new friends. Hi. Who else is here? Maxim's here. Hi. Oh my good, you came. Thanks. And then we have our candidates are here. Mai's here. Hi. Okay, so thank you guys for coming. Okay, so we're here with our first guest, and he's got to go, so we got to hurry up. All right. He's a busy man. He's got events tonight. You know how primary season is. Please welcome Mr. Blake Lynch.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. I have been waiting to get you on the show. I heard you were scared to come.
Nope, not at all. Dude, been doing TV media interviews for the last 7 months.
I know. So you're like, this is cakewalk, right?
Let's rock.
You're in comfortable company. It should be a wonderful time. So welcome to the show, Blake. So you're ready for the big fight to gird up for democracy. How's that going?
It's going fantastic.
Yeah.
Really the opportunity to get around Central PA and meet so many amazing people has been tremendous. From Halifax to Hershey, and really gaining momentum with our campaign.
Yeah.
There's over 740,000 residents throughout the PA-10. So hearing all of the stories has been really a humbling honor.
Yeah, it's pretty. Listening to the stories of the folks in this district it's quite amazing how many nationalities that we have here, how many languages are spoken.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that you recognize that too as one of our candidates. That's awesome. So my first question is, why this seat and why now?
It was really an opportunity that we saw that we were not getting a lot of the resources that we need here in Central PA. We see that our current congressman has really been distracted and not focusing on the local issues that local municipalities have and need. So a lot of nonprofits, churches, our education system, they really need resources from the federal government. Our seniors, are really struggling with affordable housing and understanding what it's like to split prescription drugs. That should not be a thing. That should not be a thing at all, especially when it comes to our working families, where my wife and I have 2 boys. And we're raising them here, and the cost of living is so high.
Yeah.
Despite what GDP may be saying, but I was meeting with the union last night, and they're saying we're not feeling it. Actually, they had some other words that they're saying. And despite them having good, high-paying union jobs, they're not getting all the jobs they should be having right now. And also, people were really upset. The things that they would normally buy, they can't buy anymore. And so
because they're expensive.
Really
expensive. Yeah. Really, really expensive. I see that you are a dad. You talked about having your 2 adorable, really cute young kings. They're real cute guys.
Thank you.
How old are they?
9 and 5.
Oh, wonderful.
So Brittany and I.
Already?
9 already.
Wow.
So
okay.
Brittany and I have been married for 14 years coming up in December.
Wow.
We've been together for almost 20 years, my wife.
Congratulations.
So really humbled.
Well, you don't look a day over 20. So.
Oh, well, thank you.
I don't even know how that works.
It's all the melanin.
That's right. That's right. And you guys definitely win Cutest Family Award. Don't you agree?
Oh,
Don't you guys agree?
Thank you.
Adorable. So I'm sure they inspire you to fight for a quality education too, especially raising kids in the district and knowing they'll be going through all the levels of schooling. So what are some specific things you would do as a congressman to bring equity and equality to the educational system to make things better for your little guys?
That's a great question because it's something that I experience every single day. Having been the only candidate that's in this congressional race right now that actually attended public schools here in the district. Graduated from Susquehanna Township, attended Central Dauphin schools, grew up here in Steelton and Dauphin County. And my kids are the only children right now that attend public schools and also daycare services here in the district. So my wife is vice president of our local PTA organization at the elementary school. So I'm very, very active along with my wife and trying to find the needs that our paraprofessionals and our educators have, not just teachers, because my son has an IEP and he has special needs. And so he requires additional services that other students may not. And when you find that that is not something that is rare in Central PA, there's a large shortage when it comes to paraprofessionals trying to make sure that they have what they need to meet the needs of our really growing community throughout Central PA and diverse. So what would I do? It's really about fighting for the needs and the rights of all of us. It's about making sure that federal resources are provided for and trying to make sure we're bringing it home for Governor Shapiro and also House Speaker Joanna McClinton. And also, of course, on the Senate side too, because about 12% of the Commonwealth's budget comes from the federal government. So for the Department of Education. So Title I funding is very, very important. Infrastructure rebuilding and repurposing our schools is something that my son's school was built in 1959. Wow. And we pay a lot of taxes. So there's no reason why there should be shortages when it comes to resources or let alone air conditioning.
We pay a lot of taxes.
A lot of taxes.
My goodness graciousness.
That's just Central Dauphin.
Yeah.
That's not the Harrisburg School District.
Yes.
That's not Cumberland Valley School District. That's not, Mill Paxton. So throughout the district, York City school districts, Dover area school districts. There's a lot of people around the district that really need help, and we need to make sure we have a representative that's doing that.
Absolutely right. So speaking of systems, let's talk about one near and dear to my heart, the criminal justice system.
Absolutely.
This is something that you dealt with and deal with directly in your role as the director of community relations for the Harrisburg Police Department. Not too long ago, Black folks would have said that this is a role created to appease them, and we actually had big talks about this in the city, and quiet the protests. What would you say to someone who sees you and says, Bacon, this is really offensive to cops? So I don't want you to think that this is a position that show takes, but it's something that people really think.
Well, let's go into a little bit more. So can you be a little bit more specific with regards to the question? Is it just the position that on its surface that people had an issue with?
I think people, especially people in Harrisburg, I think people had a problem with the way that the show was, the position was rolled out. And I know from organizing around the issue that people felt that that was given an appeasement for other things like the Community Law Enforcement Advisory Council. So these are the kinds of things that I think that folks are pretty like, they're going to put more money into giving us different ways to interact with the cops, but not more money into giving us different ways to have our concerns really heard.
Sure. Well, it was really an opportunity that I was asked to be a part of the administration. I was the second person to serve in a position like this. The first person was Dave Patero, then myself. And I actually was the first director community relations, and there's actually been two others after me. So all of our tenures, we've all brought experiences to that. Dave was amazing, especially in the Hispanic community and with our youth, and really trying to drive that home with after school programs. And myself, I was more about food insecurity and equity, and really trying to be a little bit more holistic in that. And then others after me were focused more on mental health. And so those passions, I believe that we were all able to really make a stand on what strengths we brought to that position. I cannot speak to how the position was formed or shaping on that because I was not active in the administration. That was done under Mayor Eric Pappenfuss's administration, and I think Mayor Wanda Williams after that. So I can't speak to the creation of it and what was negotiated, but I can speak to during my time, we were able to make good inroads and build relationships in the Harrisburg School District. We were able to make a lot of inroads when it came to social services and connecting to nonprofits to community groups and neighborhood associations with city resources. So there were a lot of things that happened behind the scenes that were taking place.
That's awesome. So what changes would you say that you made that left the most indelible effect on residents in the region, either in your role with the police department or other roles that you've had?
That's a great question. I believe that a lot of the things that I can really be proud of are the relationships that I built along the way. It is the hundreds of people that would call my phone, dozens that would call after midnight, when people were arrested out at Dauphin County Booking Center, and I would be calling in favors for them. It was about, the older residents who didn't know where to go because Meals on Wheels didn't get delivered. So they were asking, do you know anyone? Because I'm on the board of the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. It was the nonprofit partners that were calling because of drug activity or loud music disturbances or fights with drunkards on blocks outside of nonprofits or schools. It was the crossing guards that needed help, additional resources with officers because 19th and Dairy is a very dangerous area with a 5-way intersection, or State Street, would have many pedestrian traffic incidents. And the Harrisburg School District is calling under local charter schools. It was all of the opportunities that we were able to step it up. The synagogues on North Front Street when they were facing hate discrimination, or working with area school districts in Steelton or police departments. For example, the Muslim Center along Cameron Street on the line of Steelton and Harrisburg, we had formed a full task force to protect for those who were facing discrimination during different times against our Muslim and Arab community. So there were a host of things that I can continue to point to that we did the work behind the scenes that didn't get a lot of fanfare outside of just National Night Out or, handing out hot dogs.
Yes. And so that paints I think it paints a very rosy picture of the police department. And as you know, and I know, there have been plenty of incidents with the police department. I mean, we have business owners in this room who the police have harassed. We've had people who felt not safer with police there.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what do you say to folks who still, even after your tenure or before or during, that don't feel safe, didn't feel safe, don't feel that they are getting what they need under that kind of structure, the current law enforcement structure? And what lessons are you taking from that would make you a good candidate in this national seat where there are national concerns with law enforcement? There's national bills that can be passed to either help or hinder PA-10, especially when it comes to law enforcement and law enforcement organizations.
That I understand. I mean, especially considering myself, no one knows that I work for the Harrisburg Bureau of Police until they find out. So I'm still a Black man, regardless of wherever I go. I've still been pulled over for no reason during and after my tenure at the Harrisburg Bureau of Police. And even before. It's actually one of the reasons I draw out when I announced my candidacy. That is a real thing. And there are people that are bad actors in every profession, and they should be held accountable. Absolutely. There should be more training and more resources for officers, especially those that don't have a lot of experience with diverse communities. That's where we find a lot of the viral videos. That's where we find a lot of the viral opportunities that happen. There are situations that happen, of course, in Philadelphia or Harrisburg, of course, with those police departments, but they have more experience in diverse communities. When you go into more rural or suburban areas, that may not be the case. So it does come down to more people being reflective of the community in which they want to see, more officers, more women, more men who may be of different ethnicities to help bring representation, to help bring a different voice, a perspective to it. And also to see, part of really the community where we understand the, how do I say this? That we understand the culture. That woman is not loud. That's just my auntie. That's how she speaks. These are things where she's not dangerous. This is just how the community responds. People are speaking with their hands because that's part of the culture, not because no one wants to listen to you. But you have to have someone in there to build that trust and understand that. So when I went in for the first year, I didn't do a lot because I had to learn. I had to gain trust because I was not a law enforcement professional. Regardless of me having law enforcement in my family, including my father-in-law, Harrisburg City, retired for 26 years. A lot of people don't know that. And I have those who work in state police. So I understand that, but I was never an officer. So I
Mhm.
had to learn what the case law was,
Mhm.
what the rules are with the DA's office,
Mhm.
challenging different things. So now, as a candidate for Congress, when I can attend Dauphin County prison meetings, I can ask Fran Chardo certain questions about certain rules at the booking center
Mhm.
and about staffing.
Mhm.
You know, bring things up to where, because I've been in and out of the booking center so many times and been fingerprinted myself,
Mhm.
because you have to go through that process. Why do we have so many people here when we have a shortage in the prison?
Mhm.
Couldn't those people be over here while we have security guards doing this on intake because you have one person at a time?
Mhm. Mhm.
The assistant warden was like, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Because these are things of experiences that I wasn't able to talk about then because I wasn't in a position. Now I can speak about more and help bring more attention to.
Wonderful. That's actually a good answer. So, you come against any come up against any officers who don't trust you as a Black man and as a liaison? Are they open to your role? Were they? And how did you deal with any opposition that you faced?
Yes, 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 and no. So, yes, there's officers that still don't trust me.
Mhm.
Yes, there's officers that don't trust me now that I'm running for Congress.
Mhm.
Yes, there are people that will never trust me because of the color of my skin, whether
Mhm.
people agree to it or believe it or not.
Mhm.
It's a reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know you have to go, so I want to ask you one last question.
It's okay.
Tell us. So you told us why. Tell us, one, how has it been going on the trail? What are you finding? What new things are you learning that connect, kind of draw on your experiences? And then what are you looking forward to in the next week? How do you like your chances? Talk to us about that.
Love my chances.
Mhm.
It's really been an amazing experience to get out and connect with so many people from, again, Campbell to Carlisle.
Yes, definitely.
The diversity of the district is really the strength of Central PA and why it's a great place to live, work, and raise a family, and why we want to continue to serve at a higher level.
Mhm.
About serving and bringing resources back to Dauphin, Cumberland, and York counties that really needs the most. The diverse coalitions that we have throughout the mid-state are tremendous.
Mhm.
Our campaign has the most locally elected Democrats than anyone in the race combined that has endorsed them. We are union endorsed by those who actually do the work, who are on the ground and understand it. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity that we get to continue to explore. It's about understanding needs in Hershey and understanding needs in Halifax. We've been everywhere. And I really love our chances. It's going to be a very tight race. Everyone runs internal polling, and whether they admit it or not, they know that there are only a couple candidates, really 3 candidates that are kind of really squeezing everything in. And election day is going to be it's going to be a nail biter.
Well, we're having a watch party, and I know a lot of people are having watch
Yes.
parties out there, so we'll be watching closely. Talk to voters who are on the fence about voting. Why should they get out and vote on Tuesday?
You should really get out and vote on Tuesday, because not only is it your constitutional right, but it is for so many people who died and were bruised, including my great-grandfather, who was a slave in Rome, Georgia. He escaped Rome, Georgia, went to North Carolina with his brother, then Virginia, then Elizabethtown, and started my family. He understood the value of civics. He voted in every single election until he passed away when he was 94 in his sleep. He was one that said, you need to do something that's bigger. You need to understand that this is about a purpose bigger than yourself, because there are so many that around the world wish they had this opportunity, and we take it for granted. We complain at different levels in understanding a government, and you can help be a part of that change, whether it's for school board or municipal governments with those running in the state house or at the congressional level. Understanding what people do to affect your communities, fill your potholes, and help bring resources for your kids, help the senior center for your grandparents, but prescription drugs as well. This is what it's all about. It's about making our lives better and holding those accountable, including, if I'm blessed to be myself, also holding me accountable for not just promises that are made, but for the future that you all want. So I encourage you to get out on Tuesday, April 23rd. And if you want more information about our campaign, you can go to blakelynch.com, visit, learn more. Please reach out, and we're happy to help any way that we can. Win, lose, or draw, we're invested, not going anywhere, always for here.
Awesome. This has actually been a good interview.
I don't see why it wouldn't have been.
Please, I will say myself. So thank you so much, Blake, for being here. Thank you for taking the time. I know you are on your way to another thing, but good luck next week.
You.
I hope you knock all the doors you need to knock and get what you need. And will you come back and tell us about it if you are successful on Tuesday?
Of course,
All
that'll be my
right.
job. I'll be the nominee.
That's right. Thank you, Blake Lynch, everyone. And we'll be right back with our next guest. See you in a second. All right, since you gotta go listen. Energy. Oh, that makes me move a little closer to my mouth. All right, we ready? All right. Well, we are back. There's always something going on the Black News Beat. I hope you're enjoying yourself so far. We have another wonderful candidate. This is the end of our Black News Beat candidate series, so you're getting some great candidates tonight. Please welcome Mr. Jesse Minosky. Yeah. Hello, good sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. We had to speak loud because, you know, we'll make sure Yanni can hear you over there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me, you are from Cumberland County. How has it been living in South Central Pennsylvania for most of your life?
Yeah, so it's been my entire life. Born and raised in Cumberland County, and I live in Lemoyne Borough right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's that been?
Yeah, listen, I love this area, and I mean, it's really all I've really known. I went to school in Philadelphia, had the opportunity to move back home. With
Temple alum.
Yep, Temple University, go Owls.
Amazing.
And the opportunity to move back to the Harrisburg area and start my career in state government, you know, to be close to family and live in this area, it's a dream come true. I honestly am just very much in love with this community.
I love that for you. And so you went to school in Montgomery County, you came back and you worked for state government.
Yeah, went to school in Philadelphia.
So
I was
I'm sorry.
No. Well, I
Philly,
think they have a campus, so they have an Ambler campus, but
yeah.
I was on the main campus in North Philly, but moved back home, started work in the state Senate in 2016,
Wow.
and spent the last 8 years there.
And how has that been?
So it is, honestly, it's one of the most interesting fields of work you could really get into.
Yeah.
You meet so many people from across the state
Yes.
who are focused in advocating for so many different issues that no day is like the next. So you have that, I think, that variety in your work, and that keeps things interesting.
Absolutely. Did you do any of the events for Black Maternal Health Week this week?
So I am actually out of the Senate now. I had to leave to run full time.
Yes.
So I was not able to participate, but they've had events in the past that I actually, in the capacity that I was a staffer, the bosses I had worked for were part of the Women's Health Caucus, and they partner with the Black Maternal Women's Health events that took place. So we've had a part in that, and I kind of played a behind the curtain role as a staffer back in the day. But I think one of the more important issues that should be highlighted And I think they've done a great job carrying the torch on that specific issue. I know Speaker McClinton has done a lot in her leadership role to highlight that. Especially.
She has. She really has. And it's been a illuminating but very trying, I think, week, just learning the stats, learning people's positions on Black maternal health and how it's such a crisis, but folks aren't really convinced yet that there should be legislation to follow.
Yeah, I mean, that space, right? So important to so many people. I mean, I was impacted and felt it personally with my wife and our 2 girls when they were born, right? So, I mean, my situation and experience and seeing in the maternity ward all the different parts and the players that are involved, right? So your nurses, your bedside assistants, your doctors involved, your OBs, that is such an intricate system. And I feel really, I'm honored, and actually in the race that I'm running in, to be endorsed by our nurses and our allied health professionals, because I have really worked on the staffer side in the state Senate and the General Assembly already, prioritizing patient safety ratios for staff, really trying to preserve safe workplaces for our healthcare professionals, but also healthy outcomes for all patients, no matter their background, and really putting policy in place that's going to hold healthcare providers accountable for that.
That's amazing. So let's switch gears a little bit. You may have noticed that there are a lot of American flags and Trump signs around. As an ex-Marine, how do you feel about the Republican image of being the party that cares about the military and the flag and freedom? Does the Republican Party own patriotism?
So I'll start off by saying absolutely not, right? I think there's no individual party. Nobody owns patriotism, right? And I think having pride in our country comes from our personal experiences with it, right? There's a lot of things to be proud of, a lot of things to be critical of. I don't mean to correct you. I'm not a Marine myself.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I would have loved to have been. I have a lot of respect for anyone who's gone that path. I'm actually the son of an Air Force veteran.
Oh, a son of an Air Force veteran. Okay, yes. That's Maria's fault.
Listen, I would love to say I was a Marine. That would really pad my stats as a candidate.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. But good for being honest. We like that for you.
Right. But for the especially in South Central PA, right? You go outside of the general area, right? A couple of miles, one direction or the other, and you're going to run into Trump signs. You're going to run into a lot of signs that are, not too pleasant. Right. And I've been knocking a lot of doors, right? I'm running for office. I'm trying to get my message to as many people as I can and mobilize folks to come vote and hopefully support me and earn their trust and their votes. And when I talk to folks, especially Democrats, they're like, well, hey, I'm the only Democrat on my block. And that happens in Camp Hill. That happens even in certain areas in the city too. They're like, well, there's some Republicans in this area. I'm not going to name neighborhoods, but you can probably.
Oh, we know where they are.
Right? Yeah, you know where they are. Yeah, right. But I tell them, I'm like, listen, I have 50 Democrats on this block, and you're one of them. Your neighbor across the street down there, you are not alone. You're not on an island. We might not put signs in our yard saying F this, F that. We may not have big Trump signs out there, but that's why I think it's so important that Democrats, one, do show off a little bit, right? We put a Biden sign out there, put a Casey sign out there, put a Jesse sign out there.
Put a Jesse sign out there.
Represent that. Listen, there are Democrats in this neighborhood. We care, and we are, we're gonna let folks know we're showing up to vote.
I was having a conversation earlier with another group about how we believe that the Democrats are the messaging around voting, around the crucialness of these elections seems to kind of be falling flat with Democratic voters. Do you agree with that? And why do you think that is?
Yeah, so I do agree that Democrats don't feel energized, right? We don't feel like there is a big race happening in this primary because we have an uncontested presidential and we have an incumbent U.S. Senator and Bob Casey, who we're going to go fight for in November. But this primary feels at the top of the ticket, a little stale. Right. And what I tell folks is, hey, listen, presidential, Joe Biden has that locked in for the primary. Bob Casey, it's locked in. But you got some big races here in the Harrisburg area for PA 10 for Congress, and then the 103rd state House seat that I'm running in. You have a collection of over 11 candidates right now. It was even more than that earlier in the process, right? But to really be energized, right? I don't know if it's a generational thing, if it's just folks feeling like I'm not making a difference, so why participate, right? I serve on the local level, so I ran for local office. I try to connect people to the issues and where they play a role.
Yeah.
So to say, hey, listen, you're upset with the parks. That's all right. You're upset with the park system. You're upset with the roads. That's local government. Come out to a meeting.
Yes, absolutely.
Pay attention. Sit there and meet these people and see what it is that, where their role is.
I really believe that local elections matter most, and that's a mantra that people have been saying for a long time. In addition to kind of not being excited, voter apathy, and not just in Harrisburg, when you look at the voter turnout for all parts of the PA 103rd, the PA 10, voters, particularly in primaries, particularly in not the general election years, but it's low. Turnout's low.
Yeah.
I was also remarking to a friend that I'm not seeing enough of a push on voter registration. So what do you think it's going to take to get more voters registered? And also, how important is voter registration to your campaign?
Yeah, so I think one way to get more voters registered is to have candidates who can connect them to the process, right? So I think for me, being a younger candidate, I'm the youngest candidate running the 103rd, I'm 29 years old, being able to reach out to a younger Democratic voter base and say, hey, look, I'm a candidate who has gone through some of the experiences that you have recently, starting a family, buying a home, having student loan debt, those things that being in it, I can relate to on a personal level, right? So having that, I think, is one way to get people engaged and have them see, yes, I feel represented. I feel a connection to somebody who's running. But two, what or how important registration is to my particular campaign, it definitely played a role in the process. So unfortunately now you cannot register to vote in PA. It ended on April 8th, but a big lead up to that was making sure every opportunity at the door, whether I met an independent registered voter or somebody who wasn't registered at the address, say, hey, listen, they maybe wanted to support me, or maybe they wanted to vote in the primary. It was about education.
Absolutely.
We have closed primaries in PA.
Yes.
I want to change that, first of all.
Absolutely.
And I worked on that as a staffer. Yeah.
Agreed.
Because when I go to the door and I meet so many nonpartisan voters who don't feel that they can connect to either the Democratic or the Republican Party.
And they want to be able to vote for whoever they want to vote for.
But they cannot vote in our primaries. So we as a state are one of 9 remaining, right? So 41 other states have open primaries to some extent. In PA, we disenfranchise over 1.1 million voters
who cannot vote in the primary.
Cannot vote.
And Pennsylvania is very much like that. Our voters vote for who they want, and it's always been that way in Pennsylvania. So talk to us about the PA 10. I'm sorry, the PA 103rd. So you are running. You live in Lemoyne.
Yes.
And you're from Carlisle. Why this seat? Why now? Why do you feel like you are the best candidate for this seat?
Yeah. So my wife and I both grew up outside of Carlisle. We went to Cumberland Valley School District, and her and I have been together since we were in 8th grade. So our last guest that was on here, also beautiful family, beautiful story. He's actually beaten me on all the years. These beautiful kids are a little bit older than mine, but she's my grade school sweetheart. Her name's Sydney.
So
she's
cute.
Watching tonight, so thank you
So
for
cute.
watching, Sid. And we went to school in Philadelphia together, and we moved back home. We moved back in briefly with my mom, who raised me, single mother, and we saved up, right? And this was 2017, and back then, right? Sounds crazy to say it like that. The housing market was much different, and folks could save up for that first home. So we saved up for our first home. We bought a starter home in Lemoyne Borough, and we've been there since. We're now on our second house as our family grew. Now that there's 2 little ones at home, getting put down to bed probably right now. That brought me to the area. But why now and why me? I spent the last 5 years serving in local government. I'm in the start of my second term on Borough Council in Lemoyne, and I learned a lot. I learned really where rubber meets the road when it comes to local government and how we participate, right? Why our taxes are this way, why we're paying a fire service fee, and where everything's going, right? I saw that from that side of things. And meanwhile, I've spent the last 8 years of my professional career working in public service on the staffer side in the Pennsylvania Senate. I spent time there as a legislative assistant. That's where I started about 8 years ago. And then I worked my way up, legislative director, policy and research specialist, and then executive director for our Transportation Committee for the Senate Democrats, and then our Consumer Protection and our Licensure Committee for the Senate Democrats. And I saw things from the inside. And while I was there, I saw some great representatives. I saw some not so good representatives. And I really began to say, listen, I think somebody with the experience, but also the empathy and the drive to really serve our community is somebody who should be elected and serve in office. And that's just across the board.
Yeah.
But when this opportunity came up, and our current sitting representative, Patty Kim, set her eyes to run at a much higher capacity for state Senate, which she will win that seat, and she will be serving in that capacity. I'm looking forward to that. I said, this is the time where I can take the combination of experience I have in the community, in the area that I have always called home, and put it to good use. And getting out there about a year ago and having these conversations, I think I can do this. What do you think? Talk to your network. Do you think that I could be somebody that they could work with, that I could be somebody to really go to bat for them? And I kept getting yes, right? That kept coming back to me. And that gave me the confidence to really set off on this journey. I mean, we are in the home stretch.
Yes.
And it's really
6
surreal.
more days.
It is surreal at this point that we are less than a week out. But I just feel so incredibly grateful for the experiences I've had this entire way, all the people I've met, all the stories I've heard. I mean, I've sat in so many strangers' living rooms that, I mean, I've cried with people. I mean, I've held strangers' hands. I've hugged strangers because in this area for a long time, you know, there has been great representation for some great leaders that we've had, including Representative Kim. But there's new communities within the 103rd who haven't had representation the way they would have liked.
Yes.
Right. So we brought in a lot of new communities that now are very excited to have a Democrat running to represent them. So, you know, they haven't been knocked on their door in a long time. To come to them and
especially
say,
in Des Moines.
come to them and say, hey, I'm going to go to bat for you for these issues that I care deeply about, that you have a connection to also. And it's just, it's been really fulfilling. And I just feel really grateful to have this experience so far.
I'm glad to hear that. So we had our debate on Sunday. It was interesting, I would say. I mean, you know, not as many fireworks as the PA-10 one, but we did have some, you know, how did that go for you? How was the debate on Sunday? And how have been your appearances and different things?
Yeah, so I'll speak to all the appearances and I'll come back to on Sunday, which, by the way, thank you for putting that together with the team that you are a part of.
Absolutely. Shout out to Friends of Midtown who's running for office and all of our friends, YPOC. We hope let's put that together.
But so far we've been on, I was for the first time ever on a live television for ABC 27. The bright lights there. This is a much more comfortable stage. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We've had a number of forums, whether it was at the Nativity School in Harrisburg, we were at Frederickson Library in Camp Hill, and we've had many more appearances in between. And every one of those, I think, gave us a great opportunity to speak to a different audience from a different area of the district and really speak to the direct questions that the audience had. You know, speaking to whether we're talking about our schools, we're talking about public safety, we're talking about senior issues, we're talking about really just cost of living issues in general. I think it's been a great variety of questions that were asked. But particularly about Sunday night, what I really enjoyed was, again, it was a new audience that we got to speak to.
Another new set of people.
Another new set of people who had some fantastic questions. And honestly, I think we had a very educated crowd because the questions were very...
I was going to say, those questions came from audience members, from the community, people who couldn't make it. We compile those. And we, you know, bring them to the candidates from our different bases.
I really appreciated it.
Absolutely.
Because we got to kind of talk to a little bit more in detail, right? It wasn't just, you know, do you care about our schools? Yes or no. It was, what are you going to do to fix our schools? Or, you know, what are you going to do to fix the problems that our communities are facing? And, you know, the one that kind of, I think, came to a head that I was, you know, proud to speak about too was the issue of homelessness in the city of Harrisburg, but throughout the region. I thought that is a topic that doesn't get enough of the attention that it deserves, because a lot of times unhoused individuals are not at the table for these conversations. And we are talking about them, but not with them.
Talking over them. Yes, absolutely.
So it was, I think, great that we had an individual who had asked that question to us as a slated candidates.
Yes.
You know, and in that, I spoke to a little bit about what I believe are the policy solutions, right, from our federal partners. Trying to redefine the definition of homelessness so that we can get the funding that our counties deserve to really serve the populations that they're working with, right? There's not a connection there, and that's why a lot of the funding disparity exists. And our nonprofit sector and our public service sector related to working with the homeless community. But two, I spoke a little bit to my criticisms of the administration in the city right now and how that has really been something that I just have really struggled with witnessing as an individual, but even more so as a public servant and a candidate running in this race.
And as residents, we've also had many qualms with how the unhoused population has been treated in our community.
So I spoke a bit to that. And we had the opportunity to talk back and forth as candidates in that space. And that was just, I think, a good exercise to really say nobody is without criticism in these like very difficult problems that we're facing in the community, that people should be held accountable when there's missteps. And two, that we need to approach it from a compassionate direction and really work with all the partners involved to try to work towards solutions, not just pushing the problem from one space to the other. These are real people. These are real lives that are being impacted. And holding people to account is important.
And we talked briefly about this, and I think the main sticking point that made folks uncomfortable was that the criticism around how the unhoused were treated was met with an answer that was like, well, I'm still very proud to support this Black woman, and kind of, to me, threw up this Black woman as a shield to the question, which I don't appreciate, because as a Black woman, it's hard to have folks already support you and want to get you into office, or trying to look at the Black women who are running and how difficult, and you can look over the past years, to have one as a mayor who's in office and, to me, not show a great deal of compassion, and then have someone kind of say, well, this Black queens in the I'm paraphrasing, Black queens in the seat, and so I'm glad to have her endorsement. I don't think it answered the question. It was my one problem, and that was something I wanted to address tonight, but they're not here. And I also don't think. I think it obscures the issue. I think everyone, regardless, and also because of who you are and your demographics, and whatever the case may be, I think everyone deserves a challenge. I think we need to, if we cannot challenge people on their policies, no matter what their demographics or their background is, then why are we doing this? And that was really my issue with how that was handled. So.
Yeah, I mean, in the role that I've had, right, serving in local office, I spent 4 years where I was a brand new candidate when I ran for the first time in 2019, knocking on neighbors' doors, telling them, hey, listen, I'm trying to get in here to do this, right? I'm trying to save our historic spaces. I'm trying to fight for responsible development. I'm trying to fight for safer streets for our kids, for better parks for our kids. That's where I met people at the door in 2019. Yeah. But I had no record, right? They didn't know what to expect. I had to build that trust over those 4 years. And then really I came back at this most recent municipal election to run for re-election. And I was, that's where they could hold me to account, right? We are all accountable to the people who elect us into these positions.
Gotta be, that's the point.
And, I was I'm honored and I was blessed to be re-elected because I had received that trust. I had built that with the community where I served. And, I'm back in that position now serving locally, but I think running for this position gives me the opportunity to take my experience, take what I have, and do that at a much larger scale and serve in a much more larger capacity to do good.
Amazing. And a lot of us, I wouldn't say, I always joke that a lot of us are one issue voters, but I do think that's partially true, that there is one issue that rises to the top for a lot of constituents, especially in the PA 103rd, especially because of how we are reconfigured since 2022. There's a lot going on in our district. So what are some of the top issues that you're hearing from constituents that you think that you can actually affect change around if you were elected to serve in that seat?
Yeah, so I've spoke about this in a few settings already. It's cost of living is the big issue that I hear from people. Yes, we want to defeat Trump. We want to defeat Scott Perry. Yes, we want to make sure Democrats show up. That comes up, right? But when I peel back, they're like, okay, but what's really digging at you right now? What are you struggling with? What do you want to see change? It's my utility bills are 3 times as high as they used to be. It's my grocery bill is higher than
my gas bill definitely has been $400 for several months in a row.
Yeah.
My word.
Yeah. So, when I'm meeting somebody who lives in Uptown Harrisburg who answers the door in a full winter coat and I start a conversation with them. Obviously, I'm introducing myself. I'm encouraging them to get out and vote. And then I ask that question, what is really getting at you right now? What are the issues that you care about, right? And I can't turn my heat on because I can't afford that bill anymore. My electric bill is $500 this month. I live in an older home. No matter how far I turn the dial, it don't matter. The house is cold, right? I'm wearing a winter coat here on a day where she shouldn't be, right? And this is a woman who's likely in her late 70s.
Yeah.
And, we talk about respecting our elders, right? We talk about going to bat for our seniors, but we're not making the policy changes to help folks in those situations.
Yeah.
Now, in the time that I spent working in the state Senate as executive director covering consumer protection, that's the space where we worked on that, right? We worked to hold our utility providers accountable. We worked to try to provide relief for those who are in crisis, right? Who need assistance with those utility bills. It's a space where I feel very comfortable moving into an elected official role to really go in there, have that policy experience, and have effective change that are going to help real people in our state and in our district. That's when I talk about cost of living and the bills that we're facing. That's one area where I really believe I can have a space to really do some good.
Awesome. Cost of living has come up over and over again too, just as far as questions are concerned. What do people want us to ask you guys? They want to talk about how they're going to lower their bills. So I definitely agree. We want people to come out to vote. So talk to viewers who may be on the fence, don't want to come out and vote on Tuesday. What would you say to them?
Yeah. So the big thing I tell folks is you can't sit this one out. You had the chance, especially in the PA 10 race, right, for Congress, to put forth a candidate who's going to really take on Scott Perry. I think getting out and participating in that race is really important. But for the 103rd especially, this is a race that's going to be decided this upcoming Tuesday.
Yes.
This is a blue district. So, for those who aren't really familiar, and there's a lot of the audience who are because you've been paying attention, you have a great resource here to really inform you as to what the stakes are. But for the 103rd race particularly, this is a blue district. And when the primary is finished, the candidate who pulls through is going to be the next state representative almost by a matter of default, right? Now, the steps will take place. A challenge, there's a Republican who's on the ballot for the primary, and they are going to run, right? And I think whoever gets through this primary, and I hope that be me, is going to take that challenge seriously, is going to make sure I motivate every Democrat to show up, not only for the general that I'd be running in, but for our president, for Bob Casey, for everybody on the slate. But this race will be decided, right, on April 23rd.
Yes, it will. The 103rd will be decided on April 23rd. That's absolutely for sure. Thank you for coming. It's wonderful actually getting to know you a little bit more. And is there anything else you want to tell voters before we skedaddle?
Well, first of all, thank you everybody for tuning in. My name is Jesse Minoski, Democrat running for State House in the 103rd House District. I've had the privilege of serving my community locally. I've had the experience of working in state government for the last 8 years. And I'm taking that to really go to bat for our working families and our seniors in this district. For the last couple of months, I have gone door to door in every community in this district to learn from you what the issues you care about are. As we talked about a little bit tonight, that's cost of living, but it goes beyond that. It's healthcare, it's childcare, it's our public school system, it's supporting our retirees and our labor unions. And those are all things I would love for you to learn more about where I stand and how I'll be in defense of that and fighting for your rights and fighting for our community. If you go on electjesse.org. But also, too, I just want to encourage you to show up and vote. Like I said, the 103rd, this race will be decided April 23rd. And if you sit this one out, you're going to have a candidate handed to you. But when it comes to why you should come to vote for me, that combination of experience, but also the approach I bring to representing our communities is something that I believe can earn your vote on the 23rd.
Thank you, Jesse. Jesse Minoski, everyone. Wonderful job. And we'll be right back with our last guest. We have one more candidate, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. And give it up for Jesse one more time. Y'all understand?
My name is DeJuan Dixon. I'm known as Juan99, they call me, and I am the founder and CEO of 99 Characters Entertainment. As you know, with the internet TV, Roku has expanded up to 50 million subscribers at the moment. And that's where we give our channel for Try 99 TV for our viewers and for our platform and talents. We host mashups to roasts to puppet shows, community events. We pretty much do everything from touring to local events. We really have a vast majority of different shows. Our content creation group is our collaborative network where we come together as a barter system, and we use different companies partnering together, and we use that avenue to give each other more for our dreams and our goals.
Am I looking at you? Where am I looking?
All right. Yeah, and we're back. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. We are here with Tina Nixon. Tina is running for the 103rd as well. And we're gonna talk to you a little bit tonight about that. So you're back. You were here before.
Yes.
Did you like it? So you came back? Is that why?
Yep.
Is it because of me?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Because your birthday's coming up.
And because my birthday's coming up. Yeah, it's next Thursday. Don't forget. All right. I'm taking Venmo. I'm taking Cash App. I'm taking all kinds of things. So yeah. And I also just happy birthdays. I'm also a Taurus. So food is great. It's gotta be good food, or I will not be your friend after that. All right. So you all know, a lot of people know Tina. If you know anything about Tina, if you've been following her on the trail, she has a lot of experience. How long has she had experience? Anybody? You should know this answer by now. If you've heard her talk about any of her experience, how long has it been? How much experience she brings to the table? Somebody said it. 30 years. If you hear Tina talk about anything, she goes say, and for the last 30 years, and for the last 30 years.
I started when I was 2.
That's right. I was gonna say, don't get it twisted, because she's not, she just turned 24. So, okay. So you are literally, you have such a depth and breadth and experience in a lot of stuff. Diversity, business. We're going to say that you have some tech background. You work in human services. You truly, I make a joke about it, but you truly do have a lot of different experiences. So what have you been up to for the last 30 years that prepare you for the 103rd?
That is a wonderful question. Again, all my experiences, but I think what's near and dear to me and true to what I've been up to is serving the community and being a leader that not only talks the talk, but walk the walk. I will say that a lot of things I do, I don't put out there. When the homeless, the unhoused folks were under the bridge, I was out there on that day. It was Martin Luther King Day, actually. And talking to some of those folks, I manage a team. It's our street medicine team that goes down there once or twice a week. I shadow all my employees, and I was down there. And it was very disturbing to listen to some of the stories and interact with some of the folks that I've interacted with before, and I heard their stories. And with the news cameras and things being down there, that people wanted to highlight, what was going on now at that time, but something that was going on for a long time. Yeah. And what people didn't realize, there were some bad things happening there. Very bad. And we needed to address it. And I'm saying we as a community needed to address it. The way we went about addressing it may not have been the right way, but it needed to be addressed. So, offering bins and helping people move and, just being boots on the ground is something that I've always done, not from the beginning of my career. Yeah. I've been doing street outreach for 30 years. And so, and not only in, Harrisburg, where I'm born and raised, but also in Philadelphia and other cities along the East Coast, just to understand and get to the root causes of why individuals are unhoused or impacted by some of the things that they're impacted by. So
absolutely. So you are running for the 103rd. You're currently the mission effectiveness vice president and diversity officer for UPMC of Central PA. How is all that going?
Well, being that I am running for office, I wake up at 4:30 every morning to get my day started because, again, I'm still working full time every day. I have a team that depends on me. I have folks, so I wake up, I start my day, and I work until about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then I start campaigning, knocking on doors, making calls, raising money, and those type of things. And I think, what I do for UPMC kind of blends well in the campaign world because it's really getting out and addressing folks' needs. And so I'm fortunate that my employer said, yes, you can run. You can't campaign at work, but you can run. And so that's what I've been doing since, when did I announce? October 22nd. So October 22nd, that has been my routine.
Wow. And how have you been finding the district? What are some of the things that people that are rising to the top for you? You're from this area.
Yes.
You're from Harrisburg. And you've lived on the East Shore or West Shore?
I lived on the East Shore. I lived all over the city of Harrisburg, uptown, midtown, Hill, north side, wherever. I've lived all over. I haven't lived on the West Shore, but my in-laws live on the West Shore. So this district is very interesting because it's very diverse. And depending on any given day and who you talk to, the issues are very diverse. And so it's not a one size fits all. And someone asked me a question, what are the top issues? But when I look at it and I encompass it of what I'm talking to people about, the thing that reads true to me is like addressing the social determinants of health, the things that make individuals live a healthier life, and that's not physical health. So looking at schooling and looking at crime, looking at access, they talk about food deserts and those type of things, looking at all those things that impact an individual's health from something other than physical health. And when I'm ringing doorbells and people come out, we talk about the teacher who had worked 40-something years in the school district who hasn't had a cost of living increase in their pension since the early 2000s. And this woman said,
like 20 years.
Yeah. And she said, I was fortunate that I got in at the cusp where they increased my pension 35%. And don't quote me on the number, but something like that. She's like, but those who retired before me are living below the poverty level, and they're really struggling. And not just
they gave their entire careers to that.
40-something years of teaching, not just teachers, but those who worked in government. They haven't had a cost of living. And these are our seniors. And, when we talk about, caring for our seniors, today I had an opportunity to visit the Heinz Menaker Senior Center and really talk and listen.
Shout out to Mr. Les.
Yeah, and you have to listen to understand some of the challenges. And a gentleman there, he said, I'm on Social Security and to try to make things make ends meet, but they give me $23 a month in food stamps. Wow. So how are you able to survive $23 a month? So the reason that I'm running is to shake up some systems and look at and reevaluate whether they work for this day and age. And I'm going to tell you, especially when I do my overnight, street outreach, when you have a 70-something-year-old woman who's homeless on the street simply because someone, took all her money because of the predatory lending. She lost her house. She has no children. She doesn't understand how to access the system. I think it's our responsibility to make sure people have access and opportunity and connect to the right resources. What worked back in 1900, 1924, whenever these laws were created, don't work now. And we need someone in office that's going to be brave and bold enough to speak out and speak up and change things. And that's why I'm running.
Wow. Well said. Very well said. So this week is National Black Maternal Health Week, and statistics show that Black mothers are 3 times, and Black birthing individuals are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth than white mothers and white birthing individuals. How does this relate to your commitment to equitable access to healthcare? And what are some specific things that should be done to address this issue?
That's a great question because I have my own birthing story. That's a whole nother show because I had twins. And so I'll tell you about that. But I think health equity is critical, especially for women of color. And we need to educate. We need to make sure there's spaces that we are creating for women of color to have safe birth and to make sure our children, and nor do we die at birth.
Absolutely.
I know my own story is because someone thought, oh, it's a good idea to have this woman stand up. I got a bubble in my spine, and they call it a spinal headache. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. They had to take blood from my arm, shoot it through my spine. And it's because someone didn't understand that, after you have a cesarean with 2 big kids, I shouldn't have been standing up, but because that was their routine, that's what they did. And I can only imagine if I didn't have my mother and my mother-in-law and people where I was like, you're not leaving this room, you're not leaving me here. If they didn't stay with me, I can only imagine what would have happened. And so I have that experience. And I know many other folks have that experience. And I work with some phenomenal doctors. Shout out to Dr. Livingston and Dr. Moman Nelson, who are really on the front end. Yes, they're on the front end of making sure that Black women have healthy birthing experiences, and working with them and understanding what we need to do around health equity is so critically important. And that's something that I will stand up and speak out against. I think there's 8 bills currently in the House that we need to pass. And once I get there, I'm going to be running up and down those halls screaming at everyone like this needs to happen, and it needs to happen sooner rather than later.
We had one, they have a couple bills that are in health committee, and there are people who are just against language. So I've been using the language birthing individual today, women in addition to birthing individual, and also just marginalized genders when we're talking about birthing. And there are people who are against any language that doesn't say woman. They're against any language that doesn't privilege what they consider to be a woman or a person who, they don't want to say birthing people. They don't want to say this. And even though this is a dire issue, particularly for Black people, for all Black birthing people, that language would help them get access to care, and people don't want to do it.
And so we got to get over ourselves with the language. And, we want to create this language where it feels comfortable to everyone. And, I practice you got to feel uncomfortable to get things done. So let's use the real words that impact people and get over ourselves. If we're going to do it for the greater good and the greater good of women of color, I'm there and I'm going to fight for that. And I just think it's so important that we, especially as constituents, we bring people together so that their voices are heard. And when you hear these stories, it's gut-wrenching. And so you sit in front of a mother who has lost a child, no fault of her own, because of the birthing experience that she had, or the father that lost the wife and the child. We have to tell our stories, and people just have to get over using the appropriate language. Now, come on, when they're in their closed doors, they don't use appropriate language. So let's talk about that too. So we need to be able to move this forward.
Absolutely.
And language shouldn't prohibit us from doing that.
Absolutely right. I agree. It was quite the eye-opening experience this week, listening to people really object to other people's humanity, even though people are dying. It was very difficult.
And you know what? In the health equity realm, a lot of times we try to soften the language to make someone feel comfortable. And that's what bothers me so much. Call it what it is, and let's be able to move forward and accept that this is what it is. People are dying. Black women are dying. Black children are dying. And we need to address it.
Absolutely.
And so we need to be brave enough to use our voices to make that change.
I agree with that. I want you to talk now to voters. So Tuesday's coming. You've lived here all your life. You know the state of voter turnout in the city of Harrisburg. And similarly, we talk about Harrisburg a lot. People say that Harrisburg doesn't vote. They talk, a lot of things about Harrisburg. But if you look across the nation, in similar communities and even adjacent communities are to ours, people are not excited to vote. So what should they be thinking about for this Tuesday?
What they need to think about is their future, and they need to think about representation matters, and who you have representing you is so important. And I did knock on a lot of doors where people were just like, very apathetic. I don't do that because no one does anything for me. But that's the
prevailing
message.
idea.
Yes, some people are, and I'm saying, however, if we work together, we can move things forward. So I need you as much as you need me in this space so that we're able to move forward.
Right.
And just because X, Y, and Z didn't work for you or do things, know that I'm going to be held accountable. I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to be authentic. And I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And if I don't, call me up. Visit my website, tinanixonhouse.com, and see some of my position statements. But more importantly, reach out to me. I respond because I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I respond all hours of the day and night.
Yes.
So again, that's accessibility is important, and showing up and being able to walk around our community and just talk to folks. And not only talking, but it's listening to understand. And I know Jesse, talked about knocking and listening and understanding. I think that's so important, but not only listening and understand, but putting that into action and making things happen, and also bringing resources to the community. When you talk about legislation, the House of Representatives and legislators, people talk about the bills they created and this and that. But what about the resources that you're able to bring to the community? And I feel from my background and what I've done, I brought a lot of resources in the community. Running the YWCA, we were the first to get a grant in human trafficking. When we advocated down in DC for human trafficking, the folks, our legislators, like, human trafficking in Pennsylvania, that doesn't happen. And we had collectively, we had to say it happens and we need help addressing it. When we, advocated down in DC about equal pay and the little Ledbetter bill, it took all of us going down and using our voices. So this is something that can't be done in silo, and it's something that you shouldn't expect someone to do. No one's going to save us, folks. No, we got to save ourselves.
We are the ones we've been waiting for.
And working together is how we are going to move things forward and save ourselves.
Absolutely right. I agree
and
with
so
that.
I'm just saying, April 23rd, I'm number 4 on the ballot. If you want things done, vote for me, because I will get things done. I have a proven record of getting things done and bringing people together. Someone talks about the divide and the different parties. When good people are good people, and when they work together for change, I'm going to invite everybody to the table to work together for change. I believe in, if you have a common cause that you're working to eliminate or make better, bringing folks together and listening to those diverse voices and coming up with common sense legislation is how we're going to move this community forward, and holding people accountable.
Absolutely right.
Especially if they're receiving funds. We got to hold them accountable.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So yes, you can clap for that. That's not a bad thing to clap for. So we are coming to the end of our time. So any parting words? We spoke about voting and why it's important to vote on Tuesday, about showing up. Anything else you want listeners and voters to know?
To know that, I was asked to run for office multiple times in the past, and I chose,
people have been trying to get you to do this for a long time.
Not to do that. I have children, I have my career, and things happen in life, that it's unexpected. So my twins are 26 now. They're adulting. Somewhat adulting. They're going to kill me. They still come toilet paper, paper towels, but that's the whole story.
Your mom is telling on you.
Yes, but they're adulting for the most part, and this is the right time for me. I feel that I have the qualifications. I worked many years in the House of Representatives. I learned from the best. I learned how to collaborate, and just by working together is how we're going to move forward. So I don't take this lightly. And I said this to you before. Someone said, something about side hustle. When it comes to leadership, when it comes to serving people, we can't be hustled anymore. We have to be dedicated and committed to listening and, sitting in some uncomfortable seats that we have sat in order to be able to move forward. Absolutely. So that's what I'm committed to doing.
Wow. Thank you so much. How you liking your chances on Tuesday?
You know what? I feel very confident at this point, but as Jesse said, whoever wins on Tuesday, will be the candidate that moves forward. So
stakes are high.
I'm very excited, and I just want people to know that this is authentic, and I'm committed. Regardless of what happens on Tuesday, I'm still going to serve my community. I'm still going to bring resources. I'm still going to be addressing health equity and making sure our seniors. It breaks my heart of what I saw today at the senior center, and to know that our seniors are going hungry because of simple things that we can do to make it better for them. Again, when I left there, I started making my phone calls because I know a lot of people, and I connect, people to resources. And that's what I'm committed to doing. So I'm very hopeful, and I'm grateful for everyone that has supported me thus far. And very grateful for those who will vote for me on April 23rd so that we can work together to make a difference.
Wow. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Give it up for Tina Nixon, everyone. And I hope you have enjoyed. Tina is the last person that will grace our stage before what? April the 23rd. Right, we're getting out to vote. We're going to thank Tina, clap her for one more time. And good luck to all the candidates on Tuesday. Remember the show, no open stage, YPOC, nobody. We can't take positions, but we do want to illuminate the people that we know in our community who are running, who are sacrificing this time of their lives to do it. It's a very important part. Civic engagement is important. So thank you, Tina. Thank you, all candidates. And we'll be right back with Last Lap. Woo, we're about to get out of here. Thank y'all.
Call 911. I'm just gonna apply some pressure, okay?
When minutes matter, you have the power to save a life. Learn more.
Straight from the source.
Oh, all right. I thank you guys for hanging out with us. I am so excited about all the things we heard tonight. So I want you to please share the stream. Please learn about all the candidates. The debate was a really great place to start for the 103rd. So please, you can go back and watch that. It's on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. And this show tonight was streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well. So you can run those interviews back. Don't forget about our event on Sunday, the 21st. Dauphin County votes. We fight back. The blackest bus in the U.S. from Black Voters Matters will be, yes, at Midtown Cinema from 4 to 7. We will be out there with food and music and voter education as we get ready to activate as voters. Don't forget, we are on the march to Juneteenth. What are we going to do on Tuesday? Yes, we are. We're going to get out the vote. And thank y'all for rocking with us. Clap for yourselves. An amazing audience in the studio tonight. You guys, they were all amazing. And we will see you. We have another show right here for my birthday show on April the 24th. We have my favorite things. We have election recaps, because that's what we're talking about, all the fun things that happened on Tuesday. And we'll also be celebrating me because, you know, I'm turning a big 21 plus a couple more years. All right. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Big up yourselves, love yourselves, but nobody does it for you. Please encourage yourself, because we need you out here. We need you voting. We need you to fight so that we can move forward together. And don't forget to vote. What day? April 23rd. And I'll see y'all soon. Good night.
You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like life, I'll rise.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war. The bright daybreak of